Hi, doTERRA family. I hope you all are well. I hope you're really enjoying this amazing virtual leadership experience. My name is Lindsay Gunsalves. I'm a Blue Diamond Wellness Advocate. I'm really excited to talk to you today about incorporating wellness lifestyle into your business in a way that creates lifelong customers. Would anybody like to know how to create lifelong customers? It's the name of the game, guys. So that's where we're going today. That's what we're going to talk about. Now, hopefully this slide looks familiar to you. This is what we know as our wellness pyramid, okay? So we already know, guys, doTERRA is a health and wellness company. Like, newsflash, you know, we make these amazing essential oils, or we provide the world's best essential oils, okay? But we also have this invitation. We're inviting our customers to take it a step further and really look at how can they integrate health and wellness into every area of their life. So with this wellness pyramid here, we see on the bottom, nutrition, eating right? We know that's the foundation of wellness. Exercise, you know, moving your body every day, resting and managing your stress, reducing your toxic exposure, informed self-care, and then proactive medical care. So we as wellness advocates, we know that there's so much value to having doTERRA products in our home, because it's more than just, you know, using peppermint when you have head tension or using lavender to help you sleep at night. There's so many more benefits. There's so many more ways that we and our customers can improve our health and wellness by integrating doTERRA into all of those aspects, right? So I'm going to share some tips with you on how we have really created and implemented and integrated wellness into our lifestyle as a team. And we've really created some amazing lifelong customers. Now, I want to talk for a second about customer acquisition versus customer retention. And this is a business term that's often used, right? When you're looking at the cost of your business, or when you're just sort of evaluating your growth, you look at customer acquisition, which is, for us, customer acquisition is what? Enrolling people, right? But we don't want to stop there, do we? We don't want to just, you know, help someone to bring a kit into their home and then, okay, good luck, figure it out, do some Googling, do some researching. No, that's why doTERRA chose this amazing business model, right? So that we can, as the wellness advocate, really come in and educate and help to we can retain these customers, which is going to, right, strengthen our business, but it's going to make the biggest impact, because we know that that is really the way that people are going to see the bar moved in their health and wellness and see their lives improve. So think through that lens: customer acquisition versus customer retention. And one of my amazing gold leaders on my team thought of this analogy, and I wanted to share this with you. It's so brilliant. She said customer acquisition is sort of like hammering a nail. And, you know, what happens when, you know, when you just kind of tinker in that nail, you know, maybe you sample someone, you're tinking that nail in a little bit, you teach them an intro class, you help them get a kit started, right? It's all these little steps. And then you do the wellness consult, and you get them on LRP, and you teach them about the business, and, you know, you're kind of moving through your duplication model or your pipeline. When we do that right, we really just nail that hammer, or we hit that nail all the way in to the 2x4. And is that nail going anywhere? No. But on the flip side, what happens when we just tinker in that nail a little bit and maybe it falls over and we lose that one, right? That's not what we want. So I want you to really think through hitting that nail in. We want these solid customers. We want to drive that nail in deeper. And that's what you're doing when you're teaching and integrating wellness lifestyle into your business. Now, guys, I have to say this. As a leader, it starts with us, right? So if we want to see our customers and even our leaders on our team really living this out, you know, on a scale of 1 to 10, as a leader, you've got to be 1-2 steps ahead of where you are expecting your team and your customers to be. So we've got to learn how to live this out. We've got to get inspired, right? We've got to get inspired. And sometimes, I know it sounds so silly and so cliche, but sometimes it's just as simple as like, hey, when's the last time that you really just like went to your oil box and just looked in there and you were like, gosh, what do I want to be inspired with today? How can I use my oils? And what oil is speaking to me, and just getting that inspiration, sharing that online or sharing that with your community, right? And I just want to encourage you when it comes to being inspired, this whole aspect of health and wellness. There's a lot of ways that we can compare, and then we can get caught up in, gosh, man, this girl has it all together, and that guy, like he's rocking it. Like, stop the comparison and really just shine. Stand up and shine. Be inspired in who you are. Find inspiration in these beautiful products that we get to use every single day, and shine in that way. And that really, that's the heart of it, guys. I love Ange Peters. A lot of us know and love her. And I love the way that she phrases this. She says, be the example of what's possible. Be the example. And does that mean that we have to be perfect? No. Guys, I love me an In-N-Out cheeseburger or an ice cream with some chocolate sauce on it. Like, I am, you don't have to be this perfect picture or perfect model with the perfect diet, the perfect exercise program, the perfect this. No. It's not about perfection. It's about standing and shining who you are and being the example of what's possible. And I will tell you, you will never be more magnetic as a leader than when you operate in that way. When you just shine in who you are, you're going to attract your tribe. You're going to attract the customers that need you, the leaders that are supposed to align with you. I will tell you, you will be unstoppable when you shine in who you are and you become the example of what's possible. And you don't look to the left, you don't look to the right, you just shine. Challenge yourself to grow and learn more. I challenge myself with this too. When's the last time that I just picked up, my oil reference guide, or I went online and I began to research and learn and just really like picked up a product and was like, do I know everything about this oil? Do I know everything about this supplement? Like, challenge yourself to grow and learn more. And maybe you schedule 20, 30 minutes, every couple days where you're like, all right, I'm just going to spend a little bit of time right now to think about a product that I am not super confident in, or that I'm not using every day, and I'm going to learn about it, see what happens. And then I also want to challenge you to be fiercely committed to your own personal wellness plan, okay? Taking your supplements every day. Do you have a routine? Do you have something that you're consistently doing every single day that you're really committed to, not consistently showing up in that way? Guarantee you that's going to ignite something in you that's really going to inspire a lot of people, because as leaders, that's what we aspire to do, right? We want to inspire people to action. Now, can we talk about LLV here? Speaking of taking your supplements every day, we know that this product is amazing. We know that it has made the biggest impact in people's lives, but I want to talk about this from a business perspective. Do you guys know that LLV is doTERRA's #1 revenue generating product? So what does that tell you as a business owner? If this is your business, LLV is your #1 revenue generating product in your business, or it has the potential to be, okay? So this is why using it, taking it every single day is so key. It's so important, so that you're having authentic experiences with the product that you can share and that you can teach and that you can really nail in. Like, every single wellness consultation, LLV. And if you're not personally taking it, if you maybe are not confident exactly with what each supplement does, step it up. It's time to learn, right? This is your bread and butter, and I really want you to remember that and think through that lens, okay? This is arguably doTERRA's most impactful product, right? We see so many lives changed, people who take the Life on Vitality Pack and they report that their health is improving. And that is what we want as wellness advocates. And guys, let me tell you, an LLV customer is a customer for life. If you really can get people on LLV and they can see how it impacts their health, you got them. They're in, right? And think about that too. It's a 60 PV product. If you're working to solidify your power of 3 or your rank, what does that do? A 60 PV replenishable product that people are falling in love with and want to order every single month, right? This is it. This is the gold mine. And this is what I really want you to remember as you are growing your business and thinking about what? Customer retention, okay? All right, and another very important aspect, we've kind of touched on it. I'm not going to go into this too much because we have another amazing presenter that's really breaking down the wellness consult for you, but we need to point this out when we're talking about wellness lifestyle. The wellness consult is crucial. This is a time where you get to learn their story. People love to talk. People love to tell you what's going on if you give them that opportunity. And the wellness consult is this beautiful moment where we really get to connect. We get to take it deeper, learn their story, and connect with them. And this is where we can really teach them to think bigger. We get to introduce the wellness pyramid here. We get to teach them to think bigger rather than just peppermint for a headache or lavender to help them sleep, which may have been, that's great. That's what introduces, that's what brings people in. That's what helps you acquire your customers, right? But when we're thinking of retention, driving that nail in deeper, right? This is really where that magic happens. And this is also where we get to create their customized daily wellness plan. How many of your brand new customers do you think actually know how to use their oils every single day? Do you want them using their oils every single day and their supplements every single day? I do. So this is that moment where you really get to lay it out. You learn their story, you teach them to think bigger, and you create that customized wellness plan. Continuing ed, this is, oh, I love this picture here. Remember, we're driving that nail in deeper. Do you think those nails are going anywhere? They are in for life. Creating a continuing education program for your team, this is where you really drive it in. And we're exposing people to lifestyle. We're exposing them to LRP, the business opportunity, and an opportunity to host a class 8 times. And I say 8 times because I know for my team and for a lot of your teams too, you know, kind of being on this like 8-week rotation is what a lot of people are doing. So having, you know, 8 classes, continuing ed classes that you just cycle through. And at every single class, you know, you're keeping the teaching portion brief, maybe 45 minutes. And then every single time you talk about LRP. So they're getting exposed to that. You're talking about LLV every single time. You're giving them an opportunity to host a class every single time. And then you're doing that little business intro at the end every single time. So we're hitting that nail in. We're driving that home. We're really solidifying our customers. And there's so much beautiful community that can happen, whether it's in person or whether it's online. You know, a lot of us are taking our continuing ed online, and we are able to expose so many more people to this amazing, brilliant education. If you build it, they will come. I love that amazing movie, Field of Dreams. I just have so many memories of watching that with my dad as a kid, but that's that famous line in that movie, you know, if you build it, they will come. This picture makes my heart a little sad because I do miss my in-person continuing ed classes and just being around people. And I know that that day will come again, but online is just the same, guys. Show up consistently, have that space carved out where you're teaching and educating your team. The resources are there. You have everything that you need, resource-wise and heart-wise. Lean into that. Lead your team. Show up with a heart to really, truly enlighten and empower and think people to expand, or teach people to expand their thinking and think bigger with their health, because you have a solution, a beautiful, powerful solution. And that's why they came to you. That's why they bought a kit from you. Do you think that your customers wanted to buy a kit and stick it in a drawer in their home and just maybe get 1-2 oils out every now and then when they need it. No, that's not what they wanted, and that's not what you want either. So I want to challenge you and encourage you to think big and think serve, because the more that we educate, the more we invest in our people, it's going to make a bigger impact on their health and in their family. And then in turn, we see that growth and that retention in our businesses, which is what we all want, right? It's a win-win. And that is why I love being a wellness advocate. That is why I love being partnered with doTERRA, and it's amazing. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope that you enjoy the rest of this virtual leadership experience. Bye, everybody.
Hello, everyone. I am so excited to be with you today. My name is Janice Harris, and I'm actually coming to you from Arizona, my hometown, where we were all supposed to be a couple weeks ago, right? But isn't this an incredible opportunity that we have now to come together from all over and share this with so many more people? So great. I'm going to be talking about some struggles and challenges and failures that I've had, but more importantly, the lessons that I've learned because of those. You guys, life is happening for you, right? So all of the challenges and struggles that you're experiencing, it's for your growth. I am where I am today because of those challenges, because of those struggles, and because I didn't quit. So if there's one thing you get from today, I want you to ditch the fear of failure. We have to ditch the idea completely. It's just part of the process, and it makes us a better version of ourselves if we will just embrace it. The unexpected and quite literally terrifying emotional roller coaster that this business is and can be is probably a big reason why some people quit and then ultimately fail. And if you're not experiencing this emotional roller coaster, you're not doing enough. It's not if you fall, but when you fall, you get back up. So speaking of falling, I want to share a little 20-second clip with you that pretty much sums up my journey.
Flow riding. Yeah. Come on, Denise. Oh, she's gonna eat it. Woo!
Isn't that so good? I love it every time. I love it. But isn't that what it feels like? Things are going really well. Maybe you just advance rank. You know, you're feeling good. And then bam, faceplant. Or so it feels. But what you maybe didn't pay attention to is after I went down, I rose to the top. I got up. You didn't see this part, but I did it all over again. So that's just part of the process. So when we were in Cancun and I was getting ready to do the Flow Rider, I had all the feels. I was feeling so much fear. I was afraid of what other people were going to think. I was afraid of what I was going to look like. I mean, I'm not small, and I was afraid of going down and not rising to the top and just floating on the bottom. There was all the things happening. My friends were definitely not joining me. They were over here laughing, actually discouraging me from doing it, saying, you're probably going to lose your swimming suit, or something's just not good is going to happen. I can't even spit that out. There was a whole line of men, no women in line, right? So all the things happening, but I did it anyways. And I did it knowing I was going down. There was no question. Like, that was just part of the process. I would have preferred a little more graceful fall, but I knew I was going down. I've learned to stretch myself and put myself in those situations, and that I am going to fall, and it's okay. And I love what's on the other side. That's why I keep doing it. It's incredible. Maybe I would have liked it. Maybe I would have stayed up on the board longer and actually had some success. Maybe I would have inspired other people to join me, which I did. There was a whole bunch of ladies that got in line after that, and I'm taking credit for that. They probably were like, if you can do it, that was about as bad as it gets, so I'm good. So this is very similar to our journey in this business. Maybe some of you are just getting started, or you've been around for a little while, but you have some of these fears. You're afraid of what other people are going to think. You're afraid of going down and looking really bad doing it. You might have some friends that are discouraging you or laughing at you, friends, family, whoever. All of those pieces, and you're afraid of failing. But if we can go into it knowing it's just part of the process, and to embrace it and know that that's going to happen and keep getting up and doing it anyways, the better off we're going to be. So life, growth, and achievement work like a pendulum. On one side, you have failure, rejection, defeat, pain, struggle. And on the other side, you have success, happiness, victory, joy, acceptance. So if you stand still in life, you won't experience a whole lot of pain and struggle and challenge, right? But you also won't experience much joy, success, and happiness either. Just like the flow riding, I could have sat at the table and watched and not experienced the failure and the pain, but I wouldn't have experienced the exhilarating joy either. So many of us figure out how to operate in this narrow comfort zone. We only allow the pendulum to swing just a little bit into failure and struggle and defeat, therefore only experiencing the same small degree of success and happiness. You guys, at the first sign of failure or defeat or struggle or rejection, we want to quit or we want to hide. And instead we need to lean into it, because we can't experience one side without an equal proportion to the other side. So by not allowing ourselves to really fail and experience that pain and that struggle, we're not fully experiencing the joy and success that also comes from being vulnerable and doing that. And one of, or many of our greatest gifts can come from our challenges. That's been my experience. My greatest gifts have come through my challenges, and I've been able to turn that pain into power. So I want to talk to you about 3 separate experiences or challenges that I've had, but again, more importantly, the lessons that I've learned because of those. Okay, so the first one is you don't wake people, you go find others. Okay, so I waited way too long to move on from a couple of my leaders that were not as committed as I was. They weren't committed hardly at all. And so I waited way too long to move on. And I have a little secret for you. Many of you are working with people or builders that are not really builders. Did you already know the secret? You're working with people that are not builders. You maybe see potential in them. If they would do this, then they would be amazing. Or once they get through this, or maybe they say they're builders, right? Or maybe you hope that they would be, but they aren't really as capable or committed as you are. So I'm going to tell you, the people that you start with are not necessarily or likely to be the people that you end with. So when we first hit Blue, we have almost all new qualifiers this second time around, right? Almost all new qualifiers. So imagine if you spent your time and energy focusing on attracting and finding new people, your people, than dragging and pulling and waiting for these people to really step up and shine. So definitely hold space for these people. I'm not saying you just need to kick them to the curb. Hold space for them, but we cannot do it for them. We're not doing anyone any services by doing that. And the sooner we can move on, the sooner we energetically open up space for new. And guess what? Once I moved on from these people, they haven't really reached out or connected with me or tried to build. So definitely made the right decision, just needed to do it sooner. And if you continue to work with these people, your business will feel like it's dying. It really will. You will not have that momentum and that excitement, that life. I didn't have life in my business. And so I have a question for you. Imagine that you have a limitless supply of builders coming in, okay? You're doing your thing, you're attracting the peoples, and you have an abundance of leaders coming to you. If that was the case, would you still be working with the people that you have now? It's a good question, right? Would you still be spending that time and energy there if you had this flow of people coming to you? Okay, so this is what your business is going to look like if you don't move on from these people soon enough. And what ours started to feel like it was dying, a slow and painful death. There was no life in it. And there is so much abundance out there. There are so many people that need what we have. And yet we were stuck here. So I have a question for you is if you had a limitless supply of builders coming to you, okay, you have a limitless and abundance of builders knocking down your door. If that was the case, would you still be working with the builders that you have now? It's a really good question. Would you still be spending time and energy with these people that aren't super capable and committed? Or would you be focusing on these that have life and that are capable and committed and want to commit? Right? Super good to reflect on that. Okay, so here's what's going to happen if you don't move on from these people soon enough. It's going to affect you. The first thing is you will start to question your ability as a leader. So I started to think, what is wrong with me? Like, I must not be capable. I must not be good enough. I cannot get these people to move forward. And so I started looking outside. I must need this program or this system, or maybe I need this mentoring, or I need to hire this coach, right? There was all of these things. Maybe it's because I don't have a website. So I started trying to create all these things and figure out all these different things and bring those in. And they didn't even care. They didn't want that. They weren't super committed. So I was spending all this time and energy doing that, and it wasn't even appreciated, or they weren't even interested in it, and it wasn't the problem. So I'm spending all this time, and that wasn't ever the problem. Yes, those things are great, and those are helpful, but that's not what was needed in order to get these people to move forward. The next thing is you will feel stuck, like you can't progress. So if you're feeling stuck in your business right now, it's likely because you're waiting for these people to move forward, right? So you're waiting for them. Oh, I can't push for gold because my leader's not ready to push for premier, or whatever it is. And then you'll stay stuck there instead of going out and just finding new people that want to and that are ready. The next thing is you're going to feel super frustrated. And you might even damage some relationships in the process, which is not awesome. So it's better for everyone involved if you can just be super clear and find out sooner than later if they are capable and committed, and then move on. And then the last thing is it will suck the joy right out of your life and out of your business. We completely lost joy in our business, and I almost wanted to just be done. I didn't feel like maybe this was something I wanted to do anymore because it didn't have any life. I wasn't aligned with these people. And I'm fun. I like to have fun, and I was having no fun. Okay, so the next thing is do not let others dim your light. You hear me? No. The sooner that you can recognize that there are going to be people that reject you, that don't want what you have, that don't like your energy, that are going to unsubscribe to your email list. There's going to be people that do that. The sooner that you can recognize that and just ignore that and not focus on it, and shift and focus on the people that do want what you have, that do love your energy, that are there and ready, the better, the more you're going to be able to shine your light. You can allow this couple people or these one email to completely shut you down and dim your light if you choose to focus on it. If you're not experiencing that right now, again, you're not playing big enough. That's going to happen. It's just part of the process. Ignore it and shift and focus on the other stuff. I heard this thing once that I loved. It says, you can be a juicy, ripe peach, but there are still people that don't like peaches. So good and so true. So I worked with these people for way too long, and I let them dim my light. They treated me bad. And it was hurtful. They said hurtful things to each other, to people. And I started to believe what they said. And I didn't think that I was capable. And I kept thinking, gosh, I'm just not good enough. I need to be better. I need to do better. And I let it dim my light, and I lost confidence in myself. But I needed to go through this pain and this struggle and this darkness in order to find my light. And so I know they were placed in my path for my growth, and I needed to experience that in order to find my light. I also needed to learn that people's behavior is how they feel about themselves. It had nothing to do with me. And I needed to learn that. I've used that time and time again, and it's blessed my life. Okay, so fast forward. We've lost joy. We don't have any fun, and I am dang fun. So I'm like, okay, we're going to go out. We're going to do something. I'm just going to be creative. I'm just going to have fun and let go of all the rest for now. So come pickleball. We find pickleball. It's incredible, you guys. Go look it up if you don't know what it is. It's so fun on a higher level. It's awesome. We did tournaments and won gold medals and all that stuff. So we find pickleball. There's a community that we become a part of, okay? So it took about 5 or 6 different people on different occasions telling me, I love your energy. I love your energy. We're just having fun and laughing and being me. After about the 6th person, I went home and I said, I do have amazing energy. I am awesome. And I had forgotten that. I had allowed it to be dimmed, my light and my awesomeness. And so I went home and I told my husband, I said, I need to bring that energy into my business. That's what I need to bring into my business. There is no part of that happening. So I started to make joy a priority in my life. You guys, joy is the highest calibration of energy that there is. It's magnetic. This is my screensaver. When I make joy a priority, brilliant ideas come naturally. Support will surround me and movements will form. And this is happening. It's awesome. We attracted this beautiful leader in Brazil. Her name's Andrea. And after we presented at an event, she had searched and found us online, drove 2.5 hours to the event. I didn't want to present at it. I was feeling like I was struggling. We were blessed with another one of these really challenging relationships at the time, and we just couldn't do anything right. And she just was constantly comparing us to other leaders, and it was so hard and so challenging, especially for my husband that's trying to spread his wings and learn how to step up and lead and just continue to get squashed. And so I didn't want to do it. It felt hard, but he said, remember, people love your energy. You've just got to trust me and come and do this. So we do. At the end of the event, you know what she does? She comes up to us at the end and she says, I love your energy. We want to work with you. Bam, right? And she's incredible. She's such a gift. And she's helped me to see what's possible, that I can work with people that are appreciative and communicate beautifully and are full of light. It's incredible, and I'm so grateful for the gift that she is, that she's reminded me of my light, because she reminds me of it all the time instead of squashes it and dims it. Okay, the last thing is failure is opportunity in disguise. Okay, so can I tell you about one of our hardest falls and the one with the most growth? Remember how I told you at the beginning, the more you swing towards failure, the more happiness and joy you experience? Well, we went swinging. So we decided to move our family to Brazil right before the market was open, about a month before. It was always a dream of my husband's to bring this opportunity and these oils to the beautiful Brazilian people that he fell in love with. And so we decided to move there. We only had one leader when we got started, so we were a little bit behind. But we were going committed, and we were going to give it everything we had. So of course we had a dream or a goal to hit founder, and that was one of our big desires. So we moved there, and we were blessed with another one of these challenging relationships that we just couldn't do enough. It was never right. We were constantly being compared to some other leaders, and we weren't appreciated. There was always some kind of fight back or argue about what was happening. Anyways, it was very challenging, especially for my husband who, he was just learning to spread his wings. He was forced on the front line to do all the classes, invite all the people because he spoke Portuguese. It was a very vulnerable time for him, and he already felt less than. And then to constantly be told, you're not enough, you're not enough, you're not enough. It was wearing on him. So we finally get in flow, we figure some things out, and we've got 3 leaders and we're moving forward. and we hit silver, which is incredible in and of itself that he created that in just 4 months. So we hit silver, we go to convention, things are on a high, and we leave because of our visas. 2 weeks after we get home, one of our leaders calls and says, you know what, this is just, I've already reached out to everyone. I'm not making enough money. And so I need to go get a job. This is just not going to work. So we'd already invested so much time and money and energy there, and that was gone, which, okay, that's fine. We got this. We'll just work with what we've got there and keep working. And then a couple weeks later, this other leader calls and says, you know what, I know you're supposed to come here in a week and we have all these events planned, but I really am just swamped at work. I can't make it happen. And so we're going to need to postpone. Okay, we got this. This will be fine. Right before Christmas, he calls us and says, you know what, I found my dream job. I'm super excited. And this is going to be really great for my family. So thank you guys. You guys are incredible. I love what you're doing, but it's just not going to be for us. And so we literally felt like we got the rug pulled out from under us, because at this point now we're into January and we've lost these 2 leaders. And our 3rd leader, she's hit silver, so she's good. So this guy doesn't quit. He doesn't give up. He says, I'm going, giving 110%. I want to know that I gave all of my effort, everything I could. And so he schedules his time and he goes out every 2 or 3 weeks trying to find new leaders, trying to just hit the ground running and salvage what we have and buoy these up. And unfortunately, in the process, the leader that had hit silver was frustrated because we weren't focusing on her when he was going out there, and he was focusing elsewhere. Instead of helping her to hit founder, we were focusing out here to try to save what we had already created. And unfortunately, that relationship it got damaged. And so he spent one of his trips trying to salvage that and trying to help her see, you know, how we had just lived there for 5 months, 5 minutes down the road, and gave her everything that we could give her. And it wasn't our responsibility to build her business, but she didn't get it. And so unfortunately, it's damaged. And we cared deeply for this family and wanted nothing more than to offer this to them and help them change their lives. So February comes and founders close and we don't make it. And it was so heart-wrenching and so painful, especially to watch this guy who gave everything and already felt less than, and then he didn't make the mark. Sometimes, you guys, winning is not about getting first place or hitting founder or hitting that. Sometimes winning is doing the really brave thing, and he did so many brave things, and he grew so much. I said, if you were to take founder out of this and just focus on what we created, founder aside, how would you feel? And he said, oh, I'd feel amazing. So let's focus on that. We can choose to focus on the so-called failure and compare ourselves to the other leaders that are doing amazing things out here, or we can choose to focus on and celebrate all of the good that came from this. Joy is what happens to us when we recognize how good things really are. It wasn't until the loss of founder that I finally realized what success and happiness truly is and where it comes from. It comes from within. It doesn't come from a title. It doesn't come from a rank. It doesn't come from founder. It doesn't come from what we do. It comes from who we are and showing up and doing things that make a difference and doing things that we're passionate about and shining our light. And you know what? We didn't hit founder, but what can't be taken from us is all the amazing experiences that we had. These 2 ding-dongs cutting the ribbon at the opening ceremonies with the amazing energy. We are worthy and deserving of doing that. We were there. Doesn't matter that we weren't founder. We still showed up to serve. And my girls and I, we gave talks in church in Portuguese before we left. It's incredibly awesome. I understand so much Portuguese. So many amazing experiences that our family had, and so many beautiful team members that have come to us now. that we wouldn't have had otherwise. We are farther along than if we wouldn't have been vulnerable and put ourselves out there. Nobody cares that we didn't hit founder. Nobody's thought twice about it. Only us. So if you take away that, you take away founder, this journey has been incredible. And anyone looking in would be in awe at what we experienced and how blessed we are. And we sat there and we sat there and beat ourselves up and felt like failures and like we weren't good enough and we're going to quit. And you see this amazing, beautiful Andrea. People need what we have. Her life is completely changed because of these oils and because of this opportunity. She had just been kidnapped 2 months prior to finding us and hadn't left her house until she found the event and drove 2.5 hours. The moment she smelled that wild orange, she said she hadn't felt that much peace in 2 months, and she knew she needed these in her life. People need what we have, and we need to stop thinking about ourselves and stop worrying about what other people are going to think and go find the ones that need and want what we have. Failures aren't there to defeat you. They aren't meant to define you. They exist to propel you onward. Go spread your wings, my friends. Thank you.
Hey everyone, I'm Tiffany Mosman, and I'm here with Tony Maurer, one of my good friends and business partners, and we're super excited to share with you today. I think it's safe to say that at some point we've all felt stuck in our business or felt like the fire is dwindling. It's easy to get discouraged when that happens, and in order to progress, we have to be able to let those feelings go. So before we get started, I'd like to share with you a quick story about my son. This is Easton. Easton was born with a birth defect that left him with a non-functional foot and ankle, which led to an amputation and a fancy new prosthetic leg by the time he was 1. Easton's 12 now. He does fantastic. And he attended scout camp this last summer. While he was there, he had an opportunity to earn an award for swimming a mile in a lake nonstop. Him and a bunch of the other boys decided to participate, and so they all jumped in and started to swim. After a little bit of time, they started dropping like flies. The water was cold, it was hard, and a lot of them gave up. About a half an hour later, some of the boys started finishing. An hour later, Easton was the only one left in the lake. It took him an hour and 45 minutes. It would have been easy for him to get discouraged and give up, but he kept swimming. When he got home, he was embarrassed to tell me how long it took him to finish. I tearfully told him how incredibly proud I was of him and how the amount of time it took him to finish didn't detract from what he had done. In fact, I was even more proud of him that it was such a challenge and he kept going. If you're watching this, it means you're still swimming, still working. Don't give up if it feels hard for a minute or it's taking longer than you think it should, because we only fail when we stop trying.
Similar to Tiff's cute Easton, I too had felt embarrassed by my story. I want to give you a bit of a backstory on what my doTERRA journey has been like and what changed for me. This past year, I finally learned how to reignite the fire in myself and in my business. A year ago, I attended doTERRA's leadership retreat. I was silver rank, and most months I wasn't even hitting silver. I was to the point where I was so frustrated with my business and myself, I was questioning whether it was right for me anymore. Oftentimes, our frustration comes from us choosing to live a life far below what we're capable, and I was doing just that. I was living safe, but miserable. It was something that I'd felt for years, so many times that I wanted to share so passionately, but still had been paralyzed by fear, anxiety, and shame in my story. And the longer it was taking me to achieve my dreams, the more the shame sank in. I had come to leadership retreat over the years and watched people who had grown incredibly fast up on the stage and generally thought, what am I doing wrong? Why am I not growing that fast? And maybe this isn't right for me. It was stealing my joy and my ability to grow. Have you ever felt like that in your journey? In a rut, stuck, or don't know how to proceed? We are going to share 3 powerful ways we ignited that fire in ourselves and in our businesses so you can do the same. The first way to reignite your fire is to find strength in your story. Finding strength in my story was what gave me the courage to proceed. Oftentimes, deep down, we know we need to do things to grow our businesses, but we find ways to avoid them or not get them done. Finding strength in your story will give you the necessary fuel you need to propel yourself out of the rut you may feel you're in. Last year at Leadership Retreat, I heard Emily Wright share about the doTERRA incentive trip, and it was one of those moments where I felt in my bones I needed to be on that trip. So I got home and was so excited, but didn't really know how to proceed. Have you felt that way, home from an amazing event, but then don't know how to act on it and you lose your motivation? I had known for years and had been drawn to growing my business online, but didn't know how to do it. Well, my brilliant upline encouraged me to add a friend on Facebook, someone else in this business who I didn't know who was doing just that. So I friended her. And one day I happened to come across one of her lives and decided to watch it and saw her sharing so vulnerably from her heart her story of addiction. And friends, it was as if the heavens had opened up for me. Addiction had affected my life deeply. For years, I had wanted to share this business, but I suffered from social anxiety, paralyzingly at times, and had walls up subconsciously and didn't understand why. As a young girl, my mom was loving and there for me, but then became cold and distant, and I felt like I was an inconvenience for her most of my life. When the woman you love and look up to becomes so vastly different, you learn new ways to cope. I put up walls and closely guarded my heart and my relationships for fear they would let me down or feel like I was an inconvenience as well. Well, one day I tore my ACL playing competitive soccer and needed knee surgery. And after my surgery, I had been prescribed prescription painkillers and was in so much pain, I decided to go look for them and caught my mom stealing and taking my meds. I was hurt, betrayed, but knew deep down it wasn't my mom. It was the addiction. And everything made sense why all the coldness and distance had been happening for years. I had suspected, but never really knew until then. And I never realized how much I subconsciously was holding on to so much hurt from growing up with that. And hearing someone else share their story of addiction so vulnerably was like giving me permission to no longer use something that to my core affected me and my relationships as an excuse anymore. It was like reigniting the fire inside of me to break through my walls and use it as a strength. When you stand and share your story in an empowering way, your story will heal you and your story will heal somebody else. And this was exactly what I experienced this last year. So dig deep, friends. Find what has made you into the incredibly strong person you are today and share that story with the world. The world needs your voice now more than ever. It will help you connect and help heal you and others. And don't be afraid to reach out to others who aren't in your direct upline. They can inspire you to make an impact in your life too. And guess what? My story gave me enough strength to get out of my rut and get to work. I earned that incentive trip last year and not only maintained my rank, but rank advanced, and finally felt in control of my destiny and my business. And what matters most is not that trip, but the lives that were changed, including my own. I shared my story unapologetically, not on any timeline, but from my heart. And I proved to myself that I wasn't playing small anymore, that my story is uniquely my own, and that all of the shame I had attached to it for years was no longer serving me. I finally was able to use my unique story and create a beautiful life of my design, and you can do the same thing too.
For years, I bounced from platinum and even diamond back to gold. I was discouraged, I was frustrated, and my anxiety was crippling me. I'd been prescription free for years thanks to doTERRA, but it was no longer cutting it, and I was scared I was going to have to go back on the prescription medications that I hated. There were more and more days where I found myself curled up in a ball in tears on the floor of my closet. I was a hot mess, but few people knew it because, like most women, I'm good at putting on a happy face and going through the motions. My husband, who's fluent in Spanish, joined me in our doTERRA team years ago because our team had quickly grown to about 75% Latino. I have a love for the Latino people and I connect with them, but I convinced myself that my team and I were both better off if I took a back seat in building our business, especially with our Latino team. I'd lost confidence in myself and my abilities, And instead of stepping into my greatness, I was cowering in fear. Thank heavens for adaptive. It helped me get over my anxiety and face my fears head on. We decided after years of my husband doing all the traveling, it was time for me to step up. We felt it was my talents and abilities that our Latino team really needed. I want you to understand how hard this was for me. I hate flying, especially on my own. And I understand Spanish, but I am far from fluent in the language, and I was traveling to be with people who know little to no English. Talk about fear and doubt. I had things I wanted to share with these women. I was passionate about that, but I had no idea if they'd be able to understand me or if I'd be able to convey the message I so desperately wanted to share. I was ready to create my own story though, and I was done hiding. I was still scared, but I got on the plane anyway. That trip was one of the best experiences of my life. I loved every minute, and I came home filled with an abundance of love and gratitude. You guys, in 3 days, I was able to make more progress than we had in 2 years, all because I was able to step into my greatness. I was brave enough. I embraced vulnerability. I related to them, and they were able to open up to me. And doTERRA has provided me with the tools I need to change thousands of lives. Take time to figure out what your strengths are, and don't assume that your spouse's or your team members' strengths are all the things that you're too scared to do. Magic is happening in our business as we're stepping into our own strengths. We all have a story, and we all have something that sets our soul on fire. Figure out what your story is and use it to create magic in your own team.
The second way to reignite the fire in your business is to identify and break through fear. Years ago when I hit silver, I hit a block. Self-doubt started to play a huge role, and I began to think, who am I to be a leader? And how do I lead others when I feel like I don't even know how to lead myself? I was also afraid that the people I love most wouldn't approve of my decisions or me fully when I was acting upon the things I really wanted. Fear only has its power over us when we listen to it and act on it. It is lying to you and me and keeping us from every bit of success we want in our lives and in our businesses. So next time you feel the fear, acknowledge it, but then find the strength to push through and do it anyway. You can never expect to succeed if you only put in the work on the days you feel like it. Stop listening to what you feel like doing. Stop listening to all that fear that is lying to you, and start listening to what you know in your heart you need to be doing. And the beautiful thing about it is the longer you stop listening to fear, stop acting upon it, the quieter the voice gets. The loud yells become quiet whispers. Friends, the comeback is always stronger than the setback. So no matter how incredibly heartbreaking or difficult your setback has been, think about how amazing that comeback is going to be. So if you're feeling stuck right now and trying to reignite that fire, I want you to think about the one thing that drives you to share above all of your fears. For me, it was, I don't want another woman to have to struggle, feel paralyzingly anxious every day like I was, and question their worth. I want them to know what an amazing life they can live when they live up to their potential. I want others to know that they don't have to fall prey to the opioid epidemic that is destroying our society, our families, our friends, and our loved ones. That they can take control of their health powerfully. And if I can even save but one life from falling prey to that, I will continue to share. And I will shout it from the rooftops. For me, that is so much stronger and meaningful than all the fear that has held me paralyzed for years.
I'm a firm believer there's power in self-awareness. We can't fix what we don't know is broken. So take some time to discover what your fears are. My journey to figuring out my fears started when my upline called me out on a scarcity mindset. They showed me a little tough love, and I'm grateful. It was exactly what I needed to hear. Next, they introduced me to a mindset coach named Deb Erickson. If you feel like your business is in a rut or you're trying to break through your fears, I highly recommend her book, Get Out of the Rut and On With Your Life. It was a huge help for me. It helped me understand that our minds create fear to protect us. We have to discover what our fears are, where they came from, and how those fears have kept us safe in the past. Once we recognize this, we can start to rewire our minds. I realized that if I didn't break through, my fears would hold me prisoner. A head full of fear has no space for dreams, and I want to make my dreams a reality.
The third way to reignite your fire is to breathe belief into yourself and others. Oftentimes we get frustrated as leaders because our downline isn't engaging, putting in the work, or doesn't quite see the vision yet. But if we really want to breathe belief into ourselves and others, we need to start by looking inward first. When I started my business, I was still struggling so much with self-doubt and shame and not believing in myself. And what happens is we project that onto others and onto our teams. And many of my team was struggling with similar things. And I wasn't in a good enough headspace to help them work through it, or frankly, be the leader they needed me to be. If I'm being honest, I never really appreciated the mindset piece and growth that we truly must experience as we grow our businesses, because I hadn't fully ever been willing to open up enough to go through it. If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. I finally became a leader that I told myself for years I didn't think I could be. There are so many others out there that need to hear your voice, that need to hear your light, that need to hear your unique story, that are praying for you to step outside your comfort zone and be brave so they can be lifted up by your influence. I am where I am today because I have been lifted up by so many others who believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. Man is so made that when anything fires his soul, impossibility vanishes. Light your soul on fire this year. Let it burn through all of the adversity it took to get you here, and nothing is impossible. Even amidst adversity, we can rise together.
When I hit diamond for the first time, it wasn't because I believed in myself. It was because someone I admire and trust sent me a Facebook message and in a few sentences breathed belief into my heart. She could have reached out to anyone, but she chose me. She heard I was working towards diamond and told me how happy she was for me and what that would mean for my team and my family. She said, "I absolutely believe in you and know that you're deserving of the blessings that are showering down upon you. Keep believing in yourself, keep believing in your team, and never give up on your dream. You've got this." I clung to that message. I read it over and over and over again. I needed to create more belief in myself. So I started setting daily and weekly goals to challenge me. Little by little, I gained more belief. I came to the conclusion I was no longer going to block the blessings. So every time the fear and doubt started to creep back in, I would reread that message, count my blessings, say a prayer, study personal development, or reach out to a supportive friend or upline. True belief is liberating. I made a promise to take that gift of belief and pay it forward, and it's helped our team to flourish. Take time to reach out to the one. And if no one has told you lately, hear me when I say, this little dream of yours is going to be far bigger than you ever imagined. The lives that will be impacted because you chose to be brave will amaze you. Keep walking your path. Run when you can. Be still when you need to. Serve with your entire heart. Dream bigger. Breathe deep. And know that you are more than enough.